yesterday that he expects to be out there tomorrow. Is that something that is his desire? Is that what the medical staff is telling him? And do you have an update on his status?
Well, this new news to me. I hope Isaiah's out there tomorrow. But right now, we're just going to manage and see how he's feeling today and tomorrow, and we'll make a decision from there.
You were pretty upset in New York after the offensive rebound discrepancy the last time you played Rutgers. What goes into closing that gap in this game?
Well, it's, you got to have a conscious effort of really boxing out, knowing that their players are going to fly in there for offensive rebounds, and when the shot goes up, checking to see who's flying in, making sure that we hit, box out, and then go pursue the basketball. We just did a poor job last game of just turning our heads and walking to the basket and forgetting that we had to start with the basic fundamentals of boxing out. So we had a chance to watch it on film after we played Rutgers last time, and we watched it again yesterday, and truly going to continue to make a point of emphasis on it today in practice as well as tomorrow.
Zach?
Juwan, how do you feel that your team has improved in road games? You have won a couple in a row away from Chrysler, and then also as a coach, what sort of lessons have you learned heading into 6, 7, 8 road games now?
Well, we have improved overall at home games as well as road games, but in general, I just more focused on our guys just playing the right way offensively, sharing the basketball, making the right reads, limiting turnovers. I trust we will make shots. Defensively, I'm more focused on our guys just playing hard defensively, keeping our man in front, taking the one-on-one challenge, making sure that we contesting shots, making sure there's help defense, showing those attackers that they're playing in crowds, no matter if you're home or away. So I haven't put any emphasis on either, just overall in general. But as far as a coach, what I've learned, I'm learning every day. I'm learning every day in game situations as well as in practice. I go back and watch tape on our practices and see how we as a staff, the players, and how they can improve, and also how I can manage the practice a better way.
John?
Do you feel like you're a deeper team than you were at the start of the season? And if so, how has that helped?
That's interesting. I didn't think about that. I've always looked at it like this, that from the start of the season, it's always all hands on deck. Each and every guy had to be ready. But now that the season has progressed with what we've dealt with when it comes to injuries, the suspension, our guys have to step up. So it allowed guys like Brandon Johns, David DeJulius, and others, Austin Davis, to have a larger role with the team. And so I felt we were deep in the beginning.
You were just talking about your team going on the road. Rutgers has not lost at home. When you watch them on film, it's the same guys running the same stuff. I guess, is there something that stands out for why they have been so successful there and not so much from home?
Well, you have to give credit to their crowd. Their home crowd is, as I was told, it gets really loud in that building, and that's their sixth man. They feed off that energy. I understand it's a very smaller environment, so the gym is a lot smaller than some other Big Ten arenas. So I assume that makes and give them a certain level of comfort. But at the end of the day, it's still just basketball. We have to not be caught up into the record or the success that the team has had in their building. We are Michigan. We have to come out there and play our game from start to finish, and our game is to play hard, be aggressive, defend, and rebound, and play and share the game.
Max?
You mentioned after the Michigan State game that you learned a lot before playing a team the second time, in terms of adjustments and things that you guys were going to do differently. What have you learned looking back on that first Rutgers game?
Rebounds. 26 offensive rebounds.
So has that been a point of emphasis this week?
it's more than that, but that's what I learned.
Ashley?
To follow up on their gym and the environment there is, and how loud it is especially, I mean, is there anything you guys can do to prepare for that, like in practice, or is it just kind of, like you were saying, sticking with what you do well?
Well, we have plans. Not going to share those plans, but I'm not saying that it will work, but it's hard to duplicate what they have there at the rack. And I just learned, like, 2 weeks ago that the name of the arena is called the rack because, to be honest with you, I've been away for 25 years. No disrespect to the Rutgers fans and the Rutgers facility, but I recall that there was one post-game interview that I had. He said the rack, and I'm like, what is the rack? And then he explained it to me because I'm going to ask questions. Now, I feel there's no dumb question, and so he explained that that's the name of the building. So I went back and I did my research. I was like, oh, I get it. Yeah, this is a serious place. I've heard about this place, and they do have a home court advantage with the fact they have a fun environment. I'm looking forward to it. I know our players are too.
All right.
Is Isaiah traveling with you guys tomorrow?
Yes.
When you
Yes, he is.
And then I guess is there extra caution with this latest injury, given his prior history of ankle injuries, his first 2 seasons, and what he's dealt with his groin this season?
Well, I've just learned something from you, but as far as he had ankle injuries in the past, I was not made aware of that. But and no matter what with the player and their injuries, we always want to be very smart about the situation, treat it with precautions, and make sure that we take care and look out for the player's best interest. And his health is number one in all players, regardless of a game. When it comes to wins and losses of that nature, I'm always concerned with the player's health.
Anyone else?
Juwan, most coaches seem to use timeouts to quell momentum or their perception of momentum. You seem to use them a little differently. My impression is that you use them when there's something going on that you don't quite like or you don't think is right, and that you decide that it should be changed now as opposed to waiting till later in the game. Am I reading that right, or is that just my reading of what's going on?
Well, I would say that you are not wrong or you're not right. I would leave it like this. I just have a certain way how I do it, and you're right when it comes to the sense of some coaches, they use their timeouts in a way of stopping momentum runs or get their group organized after they may be up by 6 and they may have seen a situation where the team just need to settle down in the sense to get them organized. We all have different philosophies. Mine is a little bit different and maybe a little unordinary from what people are used to seeing, but I feel that it works for us, and I've seen how our guys responded when I do use our timeouts. I've always tried to make sure that when a timeout is spent, that is, we are, and everyone is on the same page. But I know at times I've taken some of the timeouts home with me because I've had a lot more to. I haven't used all of them, but I feel comfortable with how I use it, and it's been good for our group. Yes, sir. Good observation, though. Very good observation.
David Julius, his assists are up, his turnovers are down. It seems to be a little bit more gung-ho about distributing. How have you seen him grow in that regard, and then what do you think the key to that development has been mid-season?
Well, it's a lot, you can factor in David's growth. Starting with getting a chance to play more. Also, he's spent a lot of time in the film room, watching film with the staff, watching film on his own, being a great student, one of the hardest workers on the team when it comes to David coming in the gym. And he's not just coming in the gym just to get up shots. He's working on how he can be a better player for this team, and how he can do his job where the coach asks of him in his role. And he has the right mindset too. You know, he has a great support staff, you know, with his mom, his dad, some of his coaches and player development coaches that he's worked with, and then most importantly, the guy who he leans on a lot is Howard Isaac.
Abby?
You were mentioning you've seen a lot of improvement from your bench guys. What's that looking like in practice, and what's the message to those guys?
We've been having some competitive practices and very good prep days of practice, whether it's 2 days before or the day before a game. And our guys been mentally locked in, coming in, trying to, of course, be able, after having a long day at school and coming in the gym, and now you have to spend 2 to 3.5 hours with me. It's a lot for a student athlete, and I think sometimes we forget, like, our kids do have another job, and that's being a student, which, in my opinion, that's one of the most important ones. And our guys come in practice, and they're ready to go. I try to make sure that I do not overwork them or make sure they do not just hear my voice all the time. Keep them inspired, but also give a balance of teaching them as well. Hopefully that answered your question.
Brandon?
You mentioned that rebounding margin against Rutgers the first time, but what else are they doing really well, and how impressive is that 17-0 mark at home to you?
Well, they do a really good job of attacking the paint with the way how they post up Ron Harper as well as their bigs, and they've shot a lot of free throws at home compared to their opponents. If you look at the free throw margin, they shot more free throws than their opponent by a big, large margin. So that lets me know how much they attack the basket, either going to finish or they don't care about getting fouled. They want to put pressure on the defense. And so it's got to be important for us just to make sure we guard without foul and keep them off the free throw line.
Coach, that's gonna do it.